What it is your girl Cadillac. Yes, I'm Cadillac Dixon. I'm the drama life prison wife. I'm the legally blind artist that is rapping and painting for justice, hoping to see justice before all face to black. Yeah, it's your girl Cadillac. Anyways, coming back through, it is now 3. That probably is wrong. Is it 3 or 2? Yeah, it's 2:37. The same afternoon. Vlogmas day number 6. Just coming. I recorded a video earlier, and I was talking about the trip. So I'm just getting back to that because I've ran out of time and had to upload or whatever. Okay. So back to where we left off. There was drama getting prepared for this cruise, girl. Okay, so the cruise was on Friday. And Monday, I knew that I needed to hurry up and start getting my stuff packed. So I was supposed to start packing on Monday. But on Monday, which is my second day off, I'm off on Sunday. And then by Monday, I said, I'm definitely getting down and dirty to packing. So I will not be at that last moment. And I think I did Miss Princess hair. And that whole morning, I was trying to order a birth certificate. Okay, that process was so ridiculously hard. The reason it was difficult because, okay, you have to, something just told me, and I should have knew this. I should have knew this. But the way my mind works, I'll be reminded or I'll think of an issue at the last moment where there really is not enough time to fix the issue. It's not the proper time. So it did cross my mind a while back that I needed to get a replacement birth certificate. Okay, when that thought crossed my mind, I believe I was at work, so I'll scribble it on my hand, or if another thought jumps in my head, that thought will be gone and lost. But I think I did write it down somewhere. But I still forgot it. I forgot to order a new birth certificate. So it gets down to money on Monday. And I'm like, money, do I need my birth certificate? Which, duh, you should know that. I should know that. But I never have been on a cruise. I'm thinking about everything else that I need to do. So she's like, yes, of course you need it. Because at first she was like, you didn't need a passport or anything like that. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll be okay. Come to find out, you do need your birth certificate. So like I said before, I was going to draw a picture with all the things that orbit my mind, 1,000,001 things. So think of it like this. The orbit with order your birth certificate came back around. And I'm like, hold up. I need my birth certificate. So my father holds on to that stuff. That's just a tradition. My mother always held on to it in her little safe box, wherever she kept everything together. Okay, so I know I'm all over the place and back. I be at my own apartment, then I'll be at my parents' house with my family and this and that. So I'm everywhere. So I won't remember where I put something. But things such as birth certificates, I don't even touch unless I'm handling business. So the last time I would have had it would be 1,000,001 years ago. And of course, I can't remember where I put it because it was so long ago that I used it. But I think the last time I used it was to move in 2020. And then I believe I brought my birth certificate with me to file taxes because Money's name was on the birth certificate as well. So I either had it during tax season or I had it in 2020 when it was time to move into our apartment. Okay. So, needless to say, I'm like telling my dad ahead of time, oh, is there a way you can fish out my birth certificate wherever he may keep it? I don't know how he files things, but I know my mother always just had this little box. She kept it all right there, so you can find it easy. So I asked my dad, so I thought that he would look later. He went on and looked that day, and he comes back and hands me a birth certificate, but it's not my birth certificate. I'm like, this is Money's birth certificate. So I'm like, okay, great. We know Money has a birth certificate. So as he's fishing through it, he's like, I don't see your birth certificate. Okay, so he keeps looking and looking and looking. He finds a birth certificate, and everyone's like, oh, yeah, I found it. He says he got it. Everything's cool. That's what I meant to say. Everything's cool, and you could go on about your merry way. So after that, he, no, I'm sorry. There's a gap. Before he says he found it, that whole day he didn't find it. So he's like, my father is the type of person that is very, like, he barely has anything because he wants to, like, not in that way. I hold on to everything because it has memories. I might need this, or it's crazy. It's this crazy psychological thing. If I throw it away, I'm going to think, oh, I'm going to need that soon. So I don't want to throw away or part with anything. Everything has a memory, which that sucks. Because just like when my dad was remodeling the house, and it's like getting rid of all the things that were mom's, and I wanted to cry when it was this Chester thing that she bought in 2000, I think in 2000, exactly 2000. And when that thing sat out on the curb with her lamps, I wanted to cry. Y'all seen I posted a video of letting go of the crib that was in the family for so long. All my sisters used this crib. My mother bought it with her first baby, which was my sister Krista. Then she passed it on to me, and I used it with money. And that was so freaking sad that, you know, my dad was getting rid of it. And I understand he doesn't have that attachment to these items like that. I don't know why I do, but I do. So it was like a mourning process. Throwing away things, it's truly a mourning process. So that's what I mean. He doesn't hold on to things like that. He doesn't have anything, no extra stuff. My dad keeps what he needs, what he uses, and that's it. He doesn't even really keep sentimental things, which I don't know, maybe that is a man thing, or maybe that's just my dad thing. I don't know. So I'm like, he mentions, well, maybe I overlooked it and threw it away or burnt it up or whatever, what he does with papers that are no good. So he's thinking maybe it possibly, since it's been so long ago, it could have got caught in any of that stuff. So I'm like, great, I need a birth certificate, and I need it now. How do I get a birth certificate? I was not born in Florida. I'm in Florida, so I cannot go to my vital statistics and go get my birth certificate. So I'm online all day trying to figure out, how do I get this birth certificate and rush it? So I'm seeing all these things, and we're going from one site to another. They're saying 2 days, 3 days. The vital statistics in Illinois, where I was born, said that they can only do it in 10 days. And I didn't have 10 days before this cruise, which, had I did it the time it cross-orbited my mind then, I would have had it in time. But of course, I remembered when it was way too goddamn late. Okay, so then I'm trying to figure out how to rush deliver it. And I'm about to go with this one company when I see that it says it's just going to rush deliver me an application. And then I must send the application back, and then I'll be rushed out the birth certificate. So it still wasn't enough time between Monday and Friday to do this. Now, you may ask, what the heck do you need? Why don't you have a birth certificate or whatever? You know, because you're a grown adult and you should have these things. Girl, number one, I'm all over the place and back. Like I told you, it's your girl Cadillac. Sorry, just threw that in because it rhymed right there. So I had to put that in there. But so I had 2 birth certificates. That's what it is. I was brought home with the wrong name. My name, very similar, but that was ugly, that name that they brought me home with. And I guess in the 80s, everything was going on at the hospitals. They was crazy. They was giving folks the wrong babies to take home. That was when the epidemic first came out. They were giving people blood with the viruses in it. It was just so much in healthcare back then in the 80s. So, needless to say, it was a switch up at the hospital where they wrote the wrong name. Somebody went and picked up the birth certificate for my mother and brought it home, and it was the wrong name there. That she was like, when my mother looked at it, she was like, that's not what I named her. Like, that was an ugly name. My name was Tajicia. Spelt Tajicia. What the freaking heck? That is so ugly. I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody who may possibly have that name, because there's nothing new under the sun. So there's possibly a Tajicia, but that ain't me, girl. No. So my dad looks and looks and looks, and he says, I found your birth certificate. Oh yeah, first I ended up finding one company that they claim rushed it. It could have been 2 to 3 days, which 2 and 3 days I would have had enough time. But by the time I ordered it, it was basically after hours on Monday. So I would have been getting it just in a split moment of time. And it never came. I never got it. So this service don't even freaking darn work, because I didn't get my birth certificate yet. But ends up the next day, my dad is saying that he found it. And I mentioned to Money, I'm like, I bet you he found the incorrect one. And the reason that I know about having the wrong birth certificate, my mother told me you have two. You have the one with your correct spelling, which it had the old name on there, and they just crossed it out and put what my mother really named me, Keita. Put that there. Okay, so I have two of them, and the way that I found out is because I was going to a job interview. I really do think it was the Walmart job interview, and I was hired and everything, or it could have been Winn-Dixie, I'm not sure. But the person doing the payroll and all that, when they put you in their system, was like, I need a birth certificate. I'm like, I gave you a birth certificate. She was like, can you give me one with your name on it? And I'm like, that's my name. Like, what do you mean? And she shows me that that's the incorrect spelling. So I run home, take it to my mother. I think I was only 18 or 19 at that time. And she's like, oh yeah, that's because you have two. You came home with the wrong name. Like, mistakes go all the way back with me. I be having some crazy stuff happen in my life. So end up, my dad is like, he found it, and I'm like telling Money, I bet you it's the wrong one. And she's like, Mom, please, I don't want to hear that, because this is all going to work out. This is going to work out. And I'm like, okay, I know it's going to work out. Yes, I know it's good. But in the back of my mind, crazy-ish always happens. So I'm thinking possibly it won't work out. So we end up that Monday finishing Money's hair. No, I did Princess hair first. Princess was Money wanted her hair braided up in a ponytail for the cruise. So Princess, with her little arms, when you're doing her hair, she is so smart. She takes this, a martial arts move too, so she advanced a sweep. She sweeps her little hand, because her hand can only go about that much over her head. Like that much. Like that. So she takes that hand and sweeps it like that as I'm doing her hair. And she knows which side I'm on, because if I'm on this side, she's going to take this hand and sweep it over her head. And then she'll take her head and put it all the way back. So I can't, the minute I almost got her parts right in her braids, she'll do like that, shake her head and shake my hand out of place. So this girl was fighting me. She did not want that hair done at all. So that day I literally spent about 6 hours on the birth certificate, and then said heck with it. Then I ended up starting to do Miss Princess hair. Then at that moment we had to be moving delivery people, because Money had some stuff at the place she used to stay that she had to, of course, get out that day. Then my sister had some pass me down stuff that was from that's still good stuff, but it was from when my little niece was younger, and she was giving it to Miss Princess. But of course she had to pick it up today. I'm like, how does everything have to be today? Like, as we're trying in the middle of figuring everything out. And that's how it always structures. Like, when you have time to deal with stuff, it doesn't come to you. All these problems do not come to you. It is when you have a deadline for something else that something else is gonna like jump straight in the way, and you have to deal with this right now, and it makes it more anxious and more stressful of a situation. So we had to move stuff from one place. By the time we got there, they weren't even awake to even move that stuff. So that was a blank trip. Then we went to pick up the hand-me-downs for my sister, which she was saying she could not wait because she wanted the stuff out of her house today. So we had to do all that moving and stuff. Then Tuesday, I went back to work, get off of work, and the day just goes like this. So Wednesday comes, and I think I did Money's hair on Wednesday because we took a little break on Tuesday. I think we had something else to do, but I can't remember. But on Wednesday, I did Money's hair. I do have carpal tunnel, so I do her hair much slower. I'm not the fastest cosmetologist, and that is reason why I cannot work in a salon unless the only way it would be worth it and beneficial is if people paid me a whole bunch of money to do their hair, and I only had a handful of clients. But we live on planet Earth, and that's not reality here. So similar with the graphic design, I can't do it because I can't keep up with the workflow of it. So I do take my time doing her hair. It will take me about a good 4 hours and something to retwist her locks and to twist them into the two-strand twist. And then she wanted some type of cornrow going back. So it would start with a cornrow. It'll come down and it'll be two-strand twist. So to do her full hair, which Money do have thick hair, takes about 4 hours. So that was that Wednesday. So now we're down to Thursday. This is my last day to pack. I think I got sidetracked on Thursday too because the day just went by so fast, and I kept telling myself I do not want to worry and focus in on time. That's what basically kills me because I focus too much on time and how much time I'm losing. So I just moved with the flow, and before I knew it, that day was gone. That night, I did start my hair. I had finally did something to my hair. I had twisted the new growth, which my hair don't stay twisted. It's kind of thin, so it doesn't stay twisted as well. The coil, it doesn't catch and keep and lock in the coil as well as Money's does because my hair is thin. So I stayed up to about 2:30 in the morning. I didn't even start on my hair until late because by the time Thursday came, Money was like, Princess messed up her hair. Can you do it again? And I'm like, again? Are you like for real? Again? Do this again? So yeah, I did her hair again. And then I did my hair. And then the way I packed for the trip, I really didn't know what I needed. As me and Money were doing her hair, we kind of watched a couple of tutorials on what you should and shouldn't pack for a cruise, and we just went with that. So what I did was just watch everything I had. I knew how many nights and days I was going to be there, so I'm like, it could be cold, it could be hot. We don't know. I've never been there. So I packed 3 or 4 summer type outfits. Then after I washed all my clothes, and then I could just pick and choose of what I needed out of each. I washed 3 or 4. I packed 3 or 4 if it was winter type or chilly cool type outfits. I took a jacket. I took all my toiletries, threw that in a carry-on bag already that I kind of have things that I keep in one little drawer that I use, my vitamins, my blood pressure medicine, Excedrin, things that I know I'm going to need, contact solution, all that, just threw it in the bag and then picked out the outfits. I'm like, I can kind of even just match them up later. That Friday morning before we were going to sail, I had just got my last laundry load out and started ironing the things that would be wrinkled because you cannot iron on a boat. You can't even bring an iron on the boat. So I was able to pull it off, which surprisingly, I stayed up to 2:30 with my hair. And now this is the crazy part, just as I was about to lay down and go to sleep and finish the rest of my hair in the morning, boy, I see this gigantic spider, this big around, crawling up this little board that my sister has that's cut out like a gator's helmet. And I'm like, I goddamn know that ain't no spider. That freaking big old black spider. So I seen that thing. We tried to chase it. We tried to kill it. I couldn't find it because I took my eye off of off the spider for a minute to go find some spray, and when I came back, the thing was gone. Like, I didn't know they would move that quickly, but I should have known. And I didn't want to squish it because I heard somewhere that when you squish a spider, if it's pregnant, all the babies will come out and be everywhere. So I'm like, oh gosh. So now this big, huge spider is lost. We cleared through her room like for another hour and something and could not find this big old spider. It was so creepy. I couldn't hardly sleep because all I could imagine that thing being up in the bed with me or in the bed with my sister, and baby, I just cannot. So by the time I went to sleep, it was about 3 something, but still knew I had to get up early because we had to drive from Orlando to Fort Lauderdale to even board the ship, and that was at like 9 something that morning. So we had to get up super early. So I literally just went to sleep, and then next thing I know, I'm getting up. I was so freaking tired, but we were able to pull it off. Then everybody was rushing. It was too much going on. Though you prepare, it is not until that day that everybody has everything in order. I don't know. It just goes like that. It's always these last minute things to do. So basically everybody's trying to prepare, but it became to the point where people wanted to place blame on, okay, so it's your fault we're behind. And then the next person is like, no, it's your fault that we're behind. And I'm like, trying to say like, hey, we all behind. Can we not play the blame game at this moment? Like, everybody is struggling to get to this boat on time. So it's not just me. It's not just you. It's, listen, we're all, struggling, and it's kind of all of us. Can we stop pointing the fingers? And that's what kind of started out. So it was a little dispute going on. Most times I'm able to just be quiet, let people talk, let people say what the heck they want to say. I have a very high tolerance of people talking or chatting. That don't bother me at all. But I'm not perfect. So eventually I'm going to say something, but it will be a long time. So as the person, we were trying to explain that we're not trying to do this and that, and they only wanted to see it through their eyes. They were saying that we were being selfish. We were trying to, me selfish, that those two things don't ever go together. Me and selfish, I'm me and selfless. I'm completely a selfless person, but I'm not perfect. So I'm not saying that it couldn't been my fault. I was saying that we all need to take blame and stop pointing fingers, and let's just get to this boat. That's what I wanted to say. But it always ends up being a argument, which you don't want it to be. And I don't even participate in it. Most time, to keep the peace, you always just have to be quiet. And that's cool and dandy, but then when you're always quiet, people feel like they can walk over you. And I get tired of being walked over so many times in my life. So I have to voice my opinion at some point in life. So it's usually once it's going on and on and on and on. So I had to say something. So when I say something, it basically sparks a argument. So I'm like, great. I got to be on a boat with these folks for all these days, and it's just, So I started out the trip saying, I'm just staying in my cabin. I ain't finna be bothered with nobody. I hate that we can't just get along. We all adults. It's like, you can say what you want to say, but I can't say what I want to say. I can't say how I feel, but you can say how you feel. Like, I get tired of those double standards in the relationships in my life, but I do have a lot of relationships like that, which I'm learning about that. I'm learning a lot because I have been 2021. I think from 2020, basically 2020 was clear vision. And I remember when I was at Hepburn's church, I was at Pastor Hepburn's church, and that was basically, and he was from the Bahamas, yes, but that was basically the whole gist of 2020 vision. That's what he had up on his church wall. So from 2020 to 2021, God has been showing me so many things about myself, my relationships, how I come to relationships, my soft borders. I don't have great borders in my life. I am an empath. I'm a people pleaser. All these good things that become negative qualities and stuff. So it's been a lot in my life, and I'm learning to speak up for myself. Don't always feel bad because you feel a different way than someone else feels, and you want to, because I'm always trying to be the bigger person. Just be the bigger person. Just be the bigger person. But the bigger person always gets beat up. And I'm tired of being always beat up. I'm tired of always being silenced. Always just be quiet, keep the peace. I'm tired of that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to be bothered, whatever. I'll just stay to myself. I came to have a decent time, but who am I to think I can have a decent time? These are now the thoughts that's flowing through my mind. It's always something going on with you. Oh, I didn't tell you about the birth certificate before I get too far with that. So as soon as we get ready to board the boat, the lady glances, because Money's like, maybe she won't notice. Everything else is right. She glances and she's like, did you change your name? And I'm like, no. This is the birth certificate I was given at birth. And she's like, and then I went on and I'm like, well, my name is on my daughter's birth certificate if you need to see that. I have ID, I have this, I have that. She's like, oh, it's okay. So completely that whole situation didn't pan out the way I saw it, because the way I saw it, worst case scenario, spend all this money and then I cannot board for the cruise, which would have been horrible, because then my sister couldn't go because she is I'm her caregiver, so she can't go on a cruise without me. So that wouldn't have just ruined my time, it would have ruined her time, which she paid for that cruise as well. And we wanted to get her out the house, let her do some stuff, so that part worked out. So fast forward, I get on the boat and I'm like, I'm staying away from everybody. I ain't saying nothing to nobody. Anytime I have an opinion, it's so I stayed in the cabin for a while. And then I tried to lay down and go to sleep, but I could not fall asleep. And I'm like, as tired as I am after chasing that spider and getting and packing and this and this and that, I cannot fall asleep. So I said, let me get up. I'm just going to go ahead and go out and just explore and vlog the ship alone. The minute I open my cabin door, Money is at the door. Like, she was approaching the door about to say something when I was going out the door. And I don't know what she was coming to look for, but I was like, I'm just going to go out. So then she ends up, Kristen comes back from with them, because Kristen's like, I don't want to stay in this cabin. I'm not finna stay. I'm here to do some stuff. I don't want to be bored in no cabin, because, she stays basically in her room all day. She doesn't want to do that when she's on a vacation. So it's this little pizza place that was downstairs, in basically the main level of the ship. It was on level 5, if I'm not mistaken. It's a little pizza place called Sorrento's. So they're like, your drink, I had a drink package, so you have a refillable cup that you can get all you can drink. But I'm like, dang, I should have realized that I didn't want that, because that's all soda. I don't want all I can drink soda. I can't even handle that no more. So, and then they didn't have no juice options and water, not even water for all you can drink. That's crazy. So I went down to get my mug, turn in and get my mug, and to get a couple slices of pizza, because it was all you can eat pizza, veggie pizza, pepperoni pizza, cheese pizza. So Kristen went back down there with me, and all of a sudden, I think at that moment is when we set sail, because Kristen said, she started doing like this, because at first I said, is the floor moving? Like, you could feel it. Like, I didn't realize you would really literally feel it, as big as the boat is, but I felt it. And then that's when Kristen tells me, I don't feel so good. She got seasick the moment we set sail. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know this is not finna happen, because if she gets seasick, any type of sickness can trigger, because she's epileptic, can trigger seizures. And that's what I was scared about. And I just we prayed before that Kristen would not have it. Kristen didn't have a seizure, not a one, while we were at sail on vacation. I was always watchful, watching her, preparing and this and that, but she didn't have not one seizure while we was on vacation. Thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, Lord. That prayer was answered. So she's seasick. So I'm like, okay, let's get her back up. So she stays in the bathroom for a minute, like just like she couldn't take it at all. That movement was too much for her. And then I thought about it. I'm like, well, me and Money ride attraction rides and stuff, and my sister doesn't because of her epilepsy. So possibly we're used to movement and she's not. So I'm like, okay, we got to get her out of here and back up to, the cabin so she could lay down for a little minute. And that's what she did. She laid down for a minute. My sister sent over some little patches things. They're little circle patches for motion sickness, and you put one behind your ear on either side. And she gave her that, said it won't kick in until like an hour or so. And she laid down for a minute and she was okay. She was okay. She got, it wasn't until the last night she started feeling that seasickness again when we were on the top level of the boat doing rock climbing. Crazy. I actually did it. I got that vlog up there. That thing is funny. Look, on the video footage, it don't even look like I went up that high. But girl, when I went up climbing that wall and I looked to the side and seen that ocean, I'm like, oh girl, no. So I just fell off that rock wall. But yeah, so that was anything that could go wrong. You know that thing, that saying, anything that can go wrong possibly will, or something like that. Those were the things that went wrong on the trip. So I will do another story time about our vacation with the Royal Caribbean. We did go to the Caribbean, so it's a lot of stuff that we did. I did vlog it. So the great part, so out of the whole trip, those are the only bad things that happened. Quickly, by the next day, me and my sister, we were back to talking or whatever. Oops, I told you. Ooh, I wasn't supposed to tell you, but that person that we were kind of not seeing eye to eye, we were done with that by, probably the next day or whatever. The spider, the big, huge, hairy spider, and then also the birth certificate issue. So all in all, trip turned out well. All right. Hiss ya, girl, Cadillac.